Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm Ryan, and this is my Ford F-350 with the 7.3 liter gas engine. I tow a fifth wheel, and in another video, Andrew asked, how do you fuel up while you're on the road with your trailer? A little bit of a challenge, but I've got an answer for you. So I hope this episode will be a bit of a relief for you. Welcome to the gas episode. Regardless of brand, Ford, Chevy, Ram, the heavy-duty trucks have large gas engines now that rival the power that diesel engines were putting out 2 or 3 decades ago. And of course, there were large fifth wheels back then. So the gas engines today definitely have enough power to move your truck. And so while a diesel is definitely going to be able to do it better with, twice as much power, the gas engine might be the better choice for you. Maybe that $10,000 up front just doesn't work for you. Maybe you already bought a gas truck and you really don't feel like trading it in. And in the market right now, you might just be having a hard time finding a diesel truck. So for me, we bought this gas truck and we've already traveled probably about 5,000 miles with our fifth wheel, and it's working out fine. I'm very happy with this engine. This powertrain is rated for 20,000 pounds, a little bit higher than that, and it's doing the job. We're pulling about 15,000 pounds with a 37-foot Montana High Country 335 BH. Regardless of brand, Ford, Ram, GMC, Chevy, there are gas engines out there that can pull very large fifth wheels. The truck I'm sitting in right here is a 7.3 liter gas engine in a Ford F-350, and it is rated to tow over 20,000 pounds. Our fifth wheel is, when we have it loaded, about 15,000 pounds. It is 37 feet long, and the height on it is 13 foot 4 inches. 13 foot 6 inches is a semi-truck, so we're really pretty much the max height you can be. If you have a motorhome, I believe many of those models are a little bit shorter, travel trailers a little bit shorter, but you still have this very large vehicle that you need to get fueled up. How do you do it? How do you fuel up while you're on the road? The first answer is don't do it. Just plan your trip so you don't have to, right? Underneath those canopies at those gas stations, you're competing with people who have no sympathy for your giant rig. They're in their soccer utility vehicle and they have no patience, and they're just getting in your way, and it's frustrating. And so just don't. Plan your trip around not having to stop for fuel. This truck gets about 7 miles per gallon. I think there's conditions where it's a little bit worse and the conditions where it's a little bit better, but 7 miles per gallon, 34 gallon tank. If I had a long bed, I could have a little bit bigger tank, but that gives me a range of just under 240 miles. That is a lot. It's 4 hours of driving, and I don't really want to drive that much in a day, because that 4 hours of driving, well, first off, I'm probably not actually averaging that speed. Well, I've got 3 kids. You can see the car seat, right? I have 3 kids, and so, we have to go to the bathroom every, hour or two, and so I might have a couple rest stops in there. So then we also have to figure we have to pack up the trailer to leave, and then when we get there, we have to unload the trailer, set up. So that 4 hours becomes 5 or even 6 hours. That's a lot of traveling. And honestly, most of the time, 200 miles, you can get from one place to someplace totally different in 200 miles. It's a lot of traveling. So we find it really easy to just not fill up. Now, that tip does not apply to motorhomes whatsoever, because you can't go park the trailer and then unhitch and then go get gas. But if you have a trailer, my recommendation is to plan your trip within your range. Leave a little bit of cushion there, because bad conditions like rain, wind, they can hurt your range. So leave yourself some cushion. Drive from one campground to another, park it, and then fill up when you're free. If you really do need to get, in our case, more than 200 miles, I suggest you look into ways to break up the trip. A lot of times we travel on Sundays, but if we want to go a little bit further, we might travel on Saturday, stop somewhere halfway and spend the night, and then travel the rest on Sunday. So kind of a part B to this tip is harvest hosts. Maybe you spend Saturday night at a winery or a brewery. Number 2, Flying J. Pilot, Flying J, same company, but the gas stations that are specifically labeled Flying J don't always, but often have RV lanes. These lanes are located outside of the canopy. There's nothing over the top of them. They have nice big run-ups so that you can pull in, and it's a lot easier. It's not quite as spacious as the diesel lanes. If you go by a truck stop and you see they have all the room in the world to turn around and drive through, it's not as spacious, but you're probably not as big as a semi-truck anyway. They often have the windshield wiper poles, where they've got like a long extended one, makes it easier to do your truck. If you have a motorhome, you have a large windshield. So Flying J is a good option, but not all of them have these RV lanes. So you wanna look ahead and be sure. We went to one where we were just like, oh, it's a Flying J, and we got off at that exit, and there's the big Flying J sign that says RVs, and it points here, and we pulled in, and it was just like a regular lot. There was no RV lane. The canopy was tall enough to fit under, but there was very little space there, and then on top of it, it was very busy. There was only one way in and out. It was a nightmare. So look ahead. Google Maps is your friend. We will, the night before, get on Google Maps, put in our 2 points. There's a way to be able to search along your route. So we search for Flying J's that are along the route, and we find ones that are, at about the right range. Then we pick them, and now Google Maps has satellite view. Use that satellite view. Zoom in, check it out, look at the pump. Make sure that they have a spot that you'll be able to pull into. And really, Google Maps is a great tip for all kinds of RV things. When you're RVing, you're probably spending a lot of time in areas that you are not familiar with. So you can use Google Maps, you can zoom in, you can check out campsites, you can check out what the roads are going in, so that way when you get there, you already have a little bit of familiarity, right? You're pulling something that's maybe 30 or 40 feet long. It's nice to have some idea of what you're getting into. 3, enter the canopy. If you are along the highway, the canopy, the overhead part of the pumps is probably tall enough. Don't just blindly trust me. If you don't think it looks tall enough, then you need to check. But many canopies, specifically if we're talking about newer gas stations along expressways, along highways, they're probably 14 feet or higher, and so you're probably going to be able to fit under it. Take your time. Don't worry about making people mad. Pull in. If you're not sure, get out and look, just like you would for a campsite, right? Get out and look. Make sure you're going to get there. If you need to have your whoever's with you get out and spot you as you pull in, do that. If you need to go climb on the ladder, do that. Nobody wants you to hit the canopy, okay? The people that own the place, nobody wants you to do that. So take your time and be sure. Another tip is if you're coming into the pumps, right? You're driving into the pumps. Try to drive into the pumps so you're kind of forming a C away from the pump, right? Because if you're trying to come around the pump, that's when you catch. That's when you might hit something with the side of your trailer. And if you pull in straight and then have to turn away quickly, you might get a little bit of a tail whip and hit that pump. So kind of C shape into it, just curve in through the whole process. Part 3B, the little bonus there is go to Texas. Gas stations are enormous in Texas, and I think this is true of some other southern states as well, but RVing is very popular in that state, and so there are a lot of Buc-ee's and Love's and Road Ranger, Duke's. There's these gas stations they're huge. They have, I don't know how tall those canopies are, but they're definitely more than 14 feet, right? And they know that there's a lot of their clientele who have trailers, and maybe not RVs, but water sports are popular, ATVs are popular. There's a lot of people with trailers down there and really large trucks, and so they make their gas stations very accessible. I have not spent time RVing in Florida. I've been to Florida, but I wasn't really paying attention because it was before I got into this. I've not been to Arizona. So let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear if you have similar experiences of large, easy-to-use gas stations in other states. Here in Indiana, where I'm at right now, it's just not that popular of a thing to RV, and so the gas stations aren't really made for it. Number 4 is probably the worst option, which is drop your trailer. I've only had to do this once, but if it's a matter of getting stuck on the side of the road with an empty fuel tank or dropping your trailer, then you should drop your trailer. And so how you do this is you go to a truck stop. That truck stop doesn't have room up front for you to be able to pull in and get gas. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull to the back of the truck stop. Keep in mind that the semi-truck drivers are working. Go to the back corner, get out of their way, and back into a spot and drop your trailer. If you want, and I think it's probably a good idea, have somebody stay with your trailer to keep an eye on it, or explain to somebody that you're just running around front, right? And then quickly go fill up with gas at the front of the store, and then come back and hitch up right away. If you need to make a bathroom stop, I suggest you get back to your trailer before you do that. Don't plan to do this. It's not a great idea, but if this is your option, if you're driving and you can't find anywhere else and it's just not working, then don't get stranded on the side of the road. And then I suppose number 5 would be sort of in the same line, which is fuel tanks. I feel like I have to say it just because it's real, but you shouldn't. A 5-gallon tank is going to weigh like 30 pounds, so I suppose you could park somewhere else and just walk back and forth with fuel tanks. It seems like a terrible idea, and do your best to never get caught in that situation. But if that's what you got to do, you gotta do it. To wrap this up, fueling up in a gas. All right. Well, my camera died for my conclusion, but I was probably rambling anyways. To wrap this up, a gas truck is a little bit harder to fuel up on the road, but it's totally doable. You can do it. Just do a little prep work ahead of time. That's it for today. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.
What? Why are you laughing?
Because you said you actually farted.
I actually farted too.